Hello, welcome to America News. I am Ted Smith. Today is our first National Labor Day as Congress has just made it a legal holiday. We're going to start with our first guest, Mary Flemings, to talk to us about the formation of labor unions.
Hello, I'm Mary Flemings, and I was in one of the first unions that was formed. At the beginning, factory workers were getting very frustrated because wages were not proportional to what our employers were getting, like their benefits were so much better. And our workers, we were just getting really exhausted and we lost our individuality and creativity. So there was also the new railroad system, and this was bringing unemployed people from all over the country, and these unemployed people would settle for lesser wages. There were also unskilled Europeans that were being hired during the 1880s and 1890s. The factory workers decided that we needed to join together to fight for our basic rights. So the corporations, obviously this made them very angry. So they could easily get rid of us as individual workers, but if we teamed up together, it was much harder for them to get rid of like all of their workers. So the corporation response to these formations of the workers was they would buy up local press, they would import strike breakers, they would hire thugs to beat up labor organizers, and they would put pressure on politicians against the labor unions. They would also sometimes call upon the federal courts, and if the courts ordered the organized workers to stop striking, and they continued to do so, the company could request for the state and federal authorities to bring in troops to control the strikers. Employers could also lock their doors and starve the workers into cooperation. Sometimes they would also force us as workers to sign ironclad oaths or yellow dog contracts, which would make us agree to not join labor unions. Sometimes blacklisting was also a method of controlling the unions, and this was a list of agitators that employers would circulate among other employers so they would not hire these agitators. And many of the workers fell into perpetual debt. The middle class began to get annoyed at all of the strikes, and they believed that if Carnegie and Rockefeller could get to the top like they did, so should all of us laborers. And they thought strikes were unpatriotic. So they believed that it was okay for big businesses to combine into trusts to raise prices, but for some reason they thought it was unacceptable for us workers to band together to raise our wages.
Thank you, Mary. That was very interesting. Our next is going to be telling us about the Haymarket Square bombing.
Thank you, sir. Today, I'd like to pay tribute to something that I've studied for a long time now, the Haymarket Square bombing and the downfall of the Knights of Labor. Looking back to that day, labor disorders were beginning to consume the city of Chicago, and a police breakout occurred in which authoritative alleged brutalities were being protested. We remember the day of May 4th, 1886, when a bomb was thrown, killing several hundred men and officers. There were 8 men captured that were suspected to have something to do with the bombing. After studying the Haymarket Square case for some time now, I have faced a lot of opposition for pardoning 3 of the 8 suspected men who were not sentenced to death. However, it is concluded that this bomb did help to further annihilate the Knights of Labor. Their 8-hour strikes proved only to be a minimal success, and the unskilled workers were taken advantage of as they were thought to be easily replaced. And currently, the Knights of Labor are down to around 100,000 members.
Thank you, Mr. Altgill. Our next and final guest is Samuel Gommers to talk to us about the final straw in getting Congress to pass this great holiday. Hello, my name is Samuel Gompers. I am the president of the American Federation of Labor. I came to this country as a poor immigrant at the age of 13 and climbed the corporate ladder and become president on consecutive years of the American Federation of Labor. We are an association that consists of self-governing national unions. I would like to attempt here to make a social reform. I hate socialism and would rather economic and strategies and goals over politics. I like capitalism, but there is a fair share that needs to be made for laborers. I would like to also promote pure and simple unionism. and I want better wages, hours, and working conditions for our laborers today. My goals are to get a trade agreement, in which I want to authorize closed shop for all union labor. I will do this by any means necessary, even if I need to conduct walkouts and boycotts constantly. And I tend to patrol with "We do not patronize" signs. Just recently, our country has experienced the Panic of 1893, and because of the large funds that our corporation has built up, we made it through fairly well and hardly any workers went starving. Thank you. This has been American News.